Hi, beautiful people. This is video number 2, and this one is designed to get you into action in this free training. You know, we've all heard about we are the sum of the 5 people we most surround ourselves with, which in the past kept us stuck because the family we were born into, the social circles, the environment we were part of, were our destiny. There was not that much opportunity to choose the 5 most important people in your life. And another way was education. If you got into Harvard, Ivy League, not only did it give you a great education, but it ensured that you were in social circles that throughout your life gave you a leg up, so to say. So what if that wasn't your background? Well, good news. Nowadays, more than ever, we can choose who the 5 most important people are in our lives we surround ourselves with. And that's also an energy block, if you will, because so many times we choose to become almost addicted to gossip channels, to gaming channels, to any kind of fashion even, or politics that keep us stuck and keep us almost hypnotized. However, there is so much education out there, and you literally can choose who the 5 most influential people in your life are. You no longer have to be born in an aristocratic family or have the connections and the foresight perhaps to get into Harvard or an Ivy League school or wherever you are, that once was the realm exclusively for only certain people and not for other people. So this is a fantastic opportunity. And I also want to tell you a story about the hero's journey, which I'm sure you've heard. And that plays a big role in our transformation and how we in this training approach transformation. And the hero's journey has many steps, and usually it's 12 steps of transformation, but for our purposes and for the purposes of the 5 most important people that influence us, I want to point out 4 characters in the hero's or heroine's journey, and that applies to all of us in different situations and different phases of our lives, and particularly if we perhaps are stuck and desire a better life, to up-level our lives, to get our dreams into action and live the life we are meant to be, and live the best version of ourselves we can be. There are the hero, or in our case the heroine. My doggy showed up as the hero. The victim. Interestingly enough, the hero could be the victim. It's almost their shadow side. If the hero didn't decide they want to make changes, grab a hold of their dream, which is the theme of our training, and make it happen. There's a tiny little step between the victim and the hero, and that's getting into action. The villain. And while the villain is antithetical to the hero or heroine, it's another version of the hero. Once the hero doesn't decide to be a hero but becomes the victim of the circumstances, of it's too late, of I don't have the connections, I don't have the talents, I don't have this, that, or the money, then when the victim is done being a victim, they often can, in story narratives, but also in real lives, become the villain. The one that doesn't take their energy and want to make themselves better and the impact on their life better, but decide to exact revenge, to create havoc in people's lives out of jealousy, and in other words, take these creative potentials that we all have in ourselves and turn it into a negative. The outcome is not good for the victim and not good for the villain. For the heroine, though, it's a different story. But how do they get from stuck, or sometimes it's called the cave, into the dream where they take the trophy and become the higher self? Well, that's the fourth story character that's at the root of all stories. And these are stories that are almost hardwired in the human brain. And as many of you know, I used to teach cinema at UCLA in Pepperdine, and also writing, screenwriting. And so this is something, no matter which culture you are from, seems to be hardwired in the human brain. So the fourth character in this transformation, in this battering that is inscribed in the human soul, this yearning to become the best version of ourselves, is the guide, the one, the mentor, the guide that keeps the hero on track, shows them the obstacle course, has gone there before, and knows, has the confidence and knows that the hero or heroine is capable of doing it and shows them the way. So in our exercises today, we're going to take you through some of those guide steps. And remember, we're not taking the machete, we are not hard-knuckling, we're taking the helicopter view, and where others fall over stumbling blocks, we use those same very stumbling blocks as stepping stones. So hang on, we're about to get started. And while the alchemist and the maverick are separate money or prosperity personalities, each of us has that hidden potential in ourselves, and we want to activate them. The alchemist is the one in you that can turn dirt into gold. And if you are done playing in the dirt and know you have the potential to create gold, to spin gold out of the dirt, you're in the right place. The other one is the maverick, the one that lives outside the box. And we all have an inner maverick. And so often, though, we have put a lid on our dreams. We put our dreams and our lives in a box and think that's all there is, or that's all we can do under the circumstances. But in reality, we can live outside the box, and we can, outside the box, free ourselves, take the lid off, and not only do we find dirt out there, but we turn the dirt into gold. So jot this down, because the moment you write something down, there's a proven connection between our brain synapses and the bodily action of writing, which we are going to do throughout this program. And I want to give you an inkling. There's a connection between our body and our brain. For instance, children, one important developmental marker, milestone, is if they can swing their arms in opposite direction and skip along with their legs. If that is missing, it's one of the indicators that there is a lack in brain development. So and vice versa, if you want to activate right and left brain hemispheres, swinging your arms or certain qigong movements that create harmony between right and left is very conducive to creating these new brain synapses. So jotting it down helps you create new brain synapses. First, so get your pen and paper and just write down something right now. You can always refine it later. Don't balk at thinking, oh, I have to do this perfect. Done is better than perfect any day of the time. So the first exercise I want you to write down is, what are 3 dreams you had as a child or teenager, and what happened to those dreams? Are they still around, or have they long been buried and forgotten, or perhaps you are not even interested in them anymore? So while I speak on, you may stop and pause this recording and then continue as you write down your answer. Next one, what 3 dreams have you accomplished in life? And how? What was the motivating element that allowed you to accomplish those dreams? Again, stop and write it down. That helps you get into action, that gets your brain spinning and literally creates new brain synapses. Or you could speak it in a recorder, but writing is best. Thirdly, what 3 people do you either admire or are jealous of? What particular traits do you admire in them or are jealous of it? Don't be embarrassed if you are jealous, totally fine, because that's where the gold is. That's where we are turning your dirt into gold by pinpointing these. Next, what held you back from those dreams that just languished in the drawer and never made it out, or that perhaps are still somewhere in your brain but you think it's just not for you? What are 3 areas of self-rejection? And I actually have a system where you find these points of self-rejection very easily. But for our purposes now, what are some areas of self-rejection? Such as, I'm too old, I'm too dumb, I'm too ugly, I'm too pretty, I'm too thick, too thin, too married, too single, too many kids, no kids. If I only could live in another country. Here there are just no opportunities. I'm stuck in a job. My boss is mean. I don't have the friends and connections to make it happen for me. And what are 3 areas of lack of self-confidence? Oh, I've tried it before, but it didn't work for me. What would people think? I don't have the confidence to be the larger person. Who would I have to leave behind? My family, my friends, my familiar social circle? Would they reject me? Would they ridicule me? What if I failed and they saw that? Write it all down. And it becomes the first treasure map for you to unearth your dreams. Okay, now let's write down the best version. If all that self-rejection, all these obstacles, supposed money blocks, lack of self-confidence wasn't existed. What if you were the proverbial alchemist who could, out of all those dirt heaps that we just, got clarity around it. Maybe you knew them before, but never really looked at them with total clarity. Because sometimes, like the Marie Kondo method of creating order, you have to toss all the junk, the clutter out to see, oh my God, I knew this was in my closet, but now that I see it, it really needs sorting out. And so now that you see it, what if you didn't have any of that cluttered mess that keeps you from your dream? What if you were the proverbial alchemist that could create gold out of the dirt? Who would you be? How would your life change? What people would you surround yourself with? What adventures would you take? Trips, travel? Would you dare to move to another country? Would you dare to move to another city? What clothing would you wear? What car would you drive? And what house would you live in? That doesn't mean it has to be a mansion. Some people might be the happiest if they were digital nomads. I know quite a lot of them. And they keep minimal belongings. So whatever it is for you, jot it all down and see where that leads you. And now write down, who would you have to be to make the commitment to be that better person, that larger vision that is not held back by the gurus. We all heard about the heart-driven, perhaps masculine approaches to just drive harder, and we can hear it everywhere in motivational speeches and so forth. Gary Vee, who says just drive harder and you too can become rich and famous as he is, or Goggins, who overcame horrible obstacles and did his dream, achieved his dream by just going to such an extreme where he literally punished his body, and others, even the mindset gurus, who are vigilant in, policing every thought, that it has to be a positive thought. If all of this wasn't important, because remember, you have to choose the right 5 people in your life, the right mentor and guide to get you there. And perhaps what you have tried are these heart-driven gurus or mentors, and for that reason you lost confidence in yourself. Thought this is just too hard, or you just don't have what it takes to be so driven, and that your dream takes more out of you than what you hope to get. Let's put all of that aside and see yourself as the person who makes a commitment to make this easy, to step forward but create a life with ease, joy, and great success. Who would you be? And then, what would your dream be like? Step into that. There was once a famous ad, at least here in the US, there was an ad of a cartoonish drawing of a very overweight person. And that overweight person suddenly had a zipper all the way down, and she zipped it down, let the fat suit fall off her, and her new, slender, athletic, elegant self emerged. What if it would be that easy to just zip it off and step into the new self? But all these gurus who make it so hard are a way of self-sabotaging yourself, of self-rejecting, because perhaps you thought you're not worth this new version. Perhaps people in the past told you you're not worth it, you cannot do it, and if you would do it, you would let them down, your parents, a partner. But what if it was really as easy as unzipping that, letting go, and moving into that new self? But you have to make that commitment to unzip the old. And it's unfamiliar. Stepping into new self, your higher version of yourself, may feel unfamiliar. There is even, Stockholm syndrome, where you are literally beholden to the captors. Maybe we are beholden, almost shackled, anchored to this old self that imprisons us, to the box we put ourselves in. And it is at first unfamiliar to be light and free and to choose gold over dirt, because it takes a new self identity, a new version of yourself, and a new commitment to yourself. So write down at least one sentence for each of those. I went through a lot of trouble, ups and downs in my life, and it took me a lot to learn this 4-step system, actually easy 4-step system, that I've developed and that I also learned from other mentors. I spent many years, a lot of energy, a lot of money to find a way to make it more easy, to kind of streamline that transformation. And what I've learned, I'm happy to give to you. And it's not as hard as it may seem. In fact, to make it easy is the way. We first assess where you are and what your dream is like. Then I have a treasure map that doesn't require finding your blocks and in a, stumbling stones, but instead right away create stepping stones out of stumbling blocks. You immediately, those very blocks become your stepping stones. Remember, the dirt is turned into gold. In fact, those stumbling blocks, these obstacles where we hold ourselves back, are pure gold, because that is exactly where the transformation is most effective. And it's a personalized plan, a personalized treasure map, almost a fun and joyful journey that you undertake. And when you emerge at a new place, it takes a while to get used to fit into this new self. A lot of times, as we all know, people who lose a lot of weight at first rejoice, but then put it all back on. There's an adjustment period where you have to kind of let it sink in and become your new identity. Or people in the lottery, it's well known that if they win the lottery, they lose the money very quickly because the identity hasn't caught up with this new self. So there's this phase of actually letting this solidify, letting this become natural, letting this become who you are. And imagine who you could be, not just the better version of yourself, but what the world needs you to be. What does it cost for you to sit in your box, in the dirt, rather than outside the box and creating the gold that you're meant to create in your life? Because it's not just about you, it's the impact you owe the world to be. No one else can be who you are, and the gold that you can create for yourself and for others. When you shine, you bring everyone else up. And that's actually this kind of turning jealousy into something. Jealousy is a way of keeping other people down and keeps us all down. The crabs in the bucket syndrome. The moment you step into your highest self, you allow others to come with you. Plus, you actually create transformation with not just being a model to others, but with what you can be, you create a better version for others. As I said in video 1, who you are is God's gift to you. Who you become is your gift to God and your gift to the world, because who you become needs to be developed. So stop sitting back in this little box with the lid on and in dirt, and become the bigger version of yourself, because you and the world needs you. So what are the 3 biggest takeaways so far from what you have written down? Remember, you are a co-creator. It's not just passively receiving. Just like in the movies, 2 people can see the same movie, but each one interprets it slightly different, receives it slightly different, makes a different impact, because we are constantly co-creating. We are never just passive receivers. Even when we just sit in a movie theater, we are on the outside passive, but we process it differently, and in different phases of our life, we can see a movie very differently. So you are the co-creator in this program. What are your 3 biggest aha moments or getaways? Write it down, because they are there. And before we leave for this training, I want to tell you a quick story, one in which you participate. And that is very illuminating. And before I tell you the story, it is insightful in who you are, but it's not a verdict who you are, because who you are is constantly evolving. So here it is. Have fun with this. And it just involves the imagination. Imagine yourself in a room. Look around. What is the room like in which you find yourself? Write it down in detail if you can. Make a picture in your mind about this room and how large it is, the dimensions, the feeling. Are there windows? Now, picture a table, and the table is set for dinner. How is it set? How many people are seated? Is it ready to seat on a table? How many plates are lined up? And next, there's a ladder. I hadn't even realized that. There's a ladder in the room. What kind of ladder is it? Describe it in detail. How does the ladder look like? Does it serve a purpose, or is it not even important? How long is the ladder? What condition is the ladder in? And the last one is, oh, there's a horse. You hadn't even noticed the horse yet, but there's a horse. What kind of horse is it? How do you relate to the horse? How does it look like? Does it act in any way, interact with you? Take a moment and write this down. And then I give you this, not solution, but a certain way of looking at the story. And it's inevitably always accurate, but it's also a fun game. So don't take it too seriously, but see it as a tool to assess where you are in certain areas right now, and that's always subject to change. So the room is your current life situation. When this is some years ago, I had built a 7-figure business, but I felt very confined. And the room, it wasn't an unpleasant room, but it was small, too small for me. And now I know that was my life situation. It was too small for me. It felt confining to some extent. How is your room? Does it have large ceilings? Is it dilapidated? Is it a palatial room? Does it have all kinds of things inside the room that are, furnished? Is it empty? The table. However many plates are set on that table is the people who you count as your inner circle in life. It's okay if there's just one or two, or perhaps there are many, but it tends to indicate the people in your life that you count as close friends, close to your soul, that are invited to your inner circle of your King Arthur round. How about the ladder? The ladder tends to be our ambitions, where we are in our lives. During that same time, and that same first time I did this, the ladder, since I was in a small room, went through the roof because the room couldn't contain the ladder. Of course, nowadays I know I had ambitions and dreams to change my life, to climb higher than where I was at that time. And I've radically changed my life since then. A friend of mine who was quite successful as a producer in Hollywood, but kind of kept his life smaller and smaller over the years. He told me, what do you need a ladder for? My ladder was broken and small and was just sitting in the corner, broken and laying down. He had literally broken his dreams, his ambitions, even though he was extremely well educated and had so much potential, but he had tossed his ambition as broken. It's not even worth looking at. What do you need a ladder for anyhow? Finally, the horse tends to be your romantic relationship, your passions. And perhaps the horse is outside looking in, or perhaps it takes up too much room in your room, too much space in your room. Anyway, have fun with that, and I want you to invite you to my program where we have a playbook and a mentorship session where we really dig deep, laser focus on where you are, where you're holding yourself back, where your points of self-rejection, and what you can be, and how to step in this new self and let go of the old self and become the bestest version of yourself that you can be, because you owe it not just to yourself, the future that is waiting for you, the future self that is waiting for you to activate her. She's standing there waiting for you. Don't let her down. And the world and God, who needs you to be in the best version, to show up for yourself, to stop hiding from your dream, stop hiding from your best self, stop putting a lid on her and who you can be, and finally letting her out. I see you at the other side. Talk to you soon. I'm proud of you.